Alright everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So no big spiel before we dive into this. So it's going to be the part 2 of the Battle Angel Alita Last Order read-through. So like I mentioned in my other videos, did do a channel update recently. So for anyone looking for updates about read-throughs, reactions, and anything else upcoming, I'll just direct you to go look at that for all your pertinent needs. So without further ado, let us dive into Battle Angel Alita, Last Order Volume 1, Phase 7, The World is Cruel. We pick up where we left last time with Sakamoto going on a killing spree. We see his giant mechanical foot coming down and crushing one of Casey's goons. And she splup as the blood splatters onto Casey. Granny goes, eek! And starts throwing himself backwards. Ugh. And you see Sakamoto just kind of putting up a finger, just flicking Casey and sending him flying back and sending his head flying. And you see his head just goes bloody and his teeth are flying out of his jaw. Ugh. You see Sakamoto just kind of grabs him up with one hand, is dangling him, and just starts flicking him with his finger. And you see his face is getting bloody. He goes, no more. Ugh. God damn. Violence is really amped up in this one. So you see Sakamoto then grabs him like tearing wings off a fly, grabs one of Casey's legs and just rips it off with a spluck. And he screams, he goes, Jim, please help me, please. And you see Jim's mangled corpse kind of having landed on one of the little towers in the room. As you see a splue. And Jim's or Casey's leg is just spewing blood. And you see him slipping out of Sakamoto's reach as the blood makes it slippery. And he falls with a slam onto the ground. And as his spine breaks in half. And you see Sakamoto just kind of looking at him in confusion. He just pokes him. And he gets angry as he sees that Jim's not responding. He goes, ah! And he slams his hand down angrily. And you see, oh, I love this, just seeing Alita flexing her muscles as she's stretching out. And you see her nicely toned arms as she's stretching with it. Ah! And you have Pam going, wow, it's healed up already. How does it... And you have Deckman going, how does it feel, Master Alita? And she goes, good, though it might feel a bit soft. And Deckman goes, the muscle fibers won't feel as smooth. At least not at first, but they'll optimize with use. The Imagino's body simulates a bioorganism in every way. I had to quickly look up who the other person was. Because I know it's Pam and who else? Nola. That's right. And you have Alita going, you sure know a lot. And Deckman goes, you make me blush. And she goes, so, tell me. Since I got this body, I sometimes feel like I'm slipping out of my body during high-speed combat. Because of that, I've had some close calls where I wasn't able to reach top speed. Do you know anything about that? And you have Deckman going, expert system search. And Nola's like, Alita, you must be having an out-of-body experience. And she gets all dreamy. She's like, wow, an astral trip. And you see Deckman going, sounds a little like a condition called phantom whim. In any case, I think the cause is in the brain, not the body. And you see phantom limb, a vivid sensation that an amputated limb is still present. This occurs when the somatosensory cortex does not fully reorganize the internalized body map. The term was first suggested by S.W. Mitchell, an American physician, 1829 to 1914. She goes, well, I won't ask Nova to examine me, that's for sure, as she's pondering. And you see outside the city of Tafares again as they made their way through some more corridors. As Pam goes, we made it! The adults' camp should be just up ahead. And you see Alita go, what's all the ruckus about? You see, yeah! And Nola's like, we better wait here. The adults are our enemies. If we're caught, there's no telling what they'll do. Alita's like, alright, no, number 100, protect the girls here. Deckman goes, leave it to me. You see a boom and a beep boop beep as one of the machines is breaking through a barricade where it looks like all the adults are hidden behind. And as it smashes through, they go with an eek! And you have, go for it! It's like, grah! And you see them pushing down a lever and all these metal beams start coming down to impale the robot. As they go, yes, we did it! And you have a man in a hat going, don't let your guard down yet. And we see a bist. So the robot opens up and it starts spewing out mini robots to send after them. And it goes pow, pow, pow as they start shooting at them with the yeek. It's like they broke our rings. And the man in the hat's like, this could get ugly. And you see a whoosh as Alita flips over them and lands with a wham. And she jumps up with a swap and just does a double kick and stakes out two of the robots at once. Another one comes running towards her and she kicks it over her head with an explosion. And a whoosh, and she zigzags back and forth. And just makes quick work of all the little tiny robots. And you have some of the adults going, the MIB robot's all dead. No human is that fast. And you have the man in the hat going, we owe you our thanks, for now. You're not from Tafari's, are you? What do you want with us? And Alita's like, aye. And you have... Oh, it's a woman in a hat. My apologies. You have someone crying, Mommy! As you see Pam running through the wreckage with a ha, ha, ha. There's a bomb! And you have Pam. Alright, quick apologies if anyone heard the siren going outside. I have the window open to get some airflow. So I'll just repeat that last bit just in case someone missed it. So you have, you're not from Tafari's, are you? What do you want with us? And Alita goes, aye. And you have Mommy! It's like, Mom! And you see the woman in the hat going, Pam? It's like, Pam, my baby, you're alive! As Pam goes running up and gives her a hug. And you see all the adults just smiling as they see this. And you see Nola watching from above. And she's looking down at the scenario. And she's clenching her fist and goes, what? It's like, Pam, you traitor! And you hear, stop right there. As you have... As you see these three scrappy looking guys coming down the stairs going, have you forgotten Casey's rule, Marge Mahan? All brats without brain chips are the enemy, even your own. And Marge goes, Casey, don't be absurd. When did that moron become our leader? He just sees power by force. And the men are like, say what? And the others go, she's right. And they go, who said that? And one of them goes, you bastard. Take the brat and get out of here. And Marge is starting to get angry. She goes, it's time you fools woke up. There's no reason we survivors should have to fight each other. Besides, they're still children. And they train their guns on her as they go, Marge, you want to leave with your kid or get shot full of holes right here? And Marge goes, Pam and I aren't going anywhere. Go on, shoot if you want. And so you pooped. As you see a bunch of the adults start, as you see one of the guys just getting a pie to the face. And they go, you guys get out of here. And you see turncoats. As others just start pelting them with food as well. And as he whips his gun on them, you see a thump as Alita jumps up and slams her hand down on his gun to point it downwards. And he goes, what? And you see blam, blam, blam as he shoots into the concrete. And she just kind of grabs the gun and elbows him and sends him flying off the platform along with his cronies. As they land with a gah on a bunch of tables below. And Alita's going to make terrible puns as she goes, guess the tables have been turned. And you see a bunch of the other adults coming down starting to beat them with spoons. Goes, take that and that. And Marge goes, whew. She's like, thank you, miss. And she goes, my name is Alita. I'm looking for a friend. And you see back above on one of the platforms with Sakamoto, you see a Twud as he's walking through the thing. And he's cradling Roscoe's body in one of his palms. And you see that Nova and Elf and Swolf are watching this as Elf goes, what's that thing? Nova goes, doesn't look like an MIB machine. And he goes, oh, why that's Mr. Roscoe. And you have Swolf going, he's cute, you know him? And you have Dusty going, I do indeed. Young Jim Roscoe is the man I picked as my successor. He goes, Elf, Swolf, get Mr. Roscoe out of that monster's clutches. Bring him to me. And you have Elf going, you want us, Wolf? It's like, sure, let's do it. And they do like a little dance as they go, wire work. And get ready to attack. You see Swish as they separate and you see the wires starting to spread. And they dance around Sakamoto as they're spotting the wires. And they go, Marco, it's like Polo. And he's like, grr. And he's trying to grab them and his arm's been immobilized. And they go, all done. It's easy with a bulky fella like that. And you see Zex watching this going, no hope of escape now. One move and it'll rip itself apart. I lost my right arm that way once. And you see Zish as he's trying to move, you see the wires cutting through some support beams nearby. And you see Sakamoto going, Professor, you came back to life. Destiny's surprised that the robot's talking. As Elf goes, it talks? And he goes, but I don't want to live in this terrible world anymore. Please leave me dead. You have Destiny going, it can't be. Is that you, Mr. Roscoe? And you have Sakamoto going, this is his after image. His every memory implanted in a biochip within Sakamoto's brain before he died. Jim hated this world. He wished only to put an end to Tefari's, to bury the mad history of its creators. And you have Destiny going, my poor boy, you cannot fight fate. People cannot choose where, when, and into what conditions they are born. From the moment of birth, each person must live on life's terms. The world is cruel, but that's only natural. The beginning of life is not but a chemical reaction, and human existence is not but a shadow of memory data. The soul does not exist. The spirit merely synaptic sparks. We live alone as we must in a godless, merciless world, and yet, under the guise of free will, we command ourselves to live. It may be inevitable that so young you buckle under the burden of the world's karma. You may aspire to good, you may aspire to evil, you may grope to find your path, but unless you are alive, well, my boy, unless you are alive, no talent will ever bear fruit. And you see Sakamoto just screaming as you see a boom, as he's starting to heat up, as he's trying to grab, as he's trying to move them despite the wires. And she kashink as the wires get cut. As Alpha's moving like, eek, our wires cut. As he poing and a whoop. As he frees his hand, and it kind of just swipes at them. And you have, what's that white smoke coming off his fingers? All he touches turns to dust. And you have Destiny going, that white smoke is probably nano-sized ramiform thorns. They enter the space between atoms and break down molecular bonds. It's a classic idea for a nano-weapon. In theory, there's no material it can't destroy. And you see Morion Omicol, the Greek words for molecule and mist. Well, let's call it Morion Omicol. That monster Sakamoto. Roscoe must have used the MIB automated factory to make it, with the Imagino cells as a reference. But to finish something so immense in such a short time, no one would think this could be the work of a 17-year-old boy. Mr. Roscoe, your talent was truly formidable. And you see Elf and Wolf grabbing Zex and Destiny as they're running away going, the ceiling's starting to collapse. Professor, let's get out of here. And he goes, Mr. Roscoe! As he Cosimo is going, as the ceiling's just collapsing on him. So we get into Phase 8, tall towers of blocks built high. And you see later that night, Alita's standing out looking at the sky as she goes, Lou wasn't in this camp after all. The only possibility left is the MIB core. According to witness testimony, she was placed in MIB custody a year ago. And she goes, Lou, please be alive. And you see Marge coming out and going, there you are. They decide to send an envoy to the kids' camp tomorrow to make peace. And Alita's like, I see, that's good. And Marge kind of grins at her and goes, you remind me of an old cat we used to have, Alita. She was small, but so feisty even the dogs avoided her. Alita's like, old? Marge is like, I feel like I can confide in you. Those who survive kids and adults will be reunited. I'm confident that will go smoothly. But then what? How do we rebuild Tefarian society? We've always depended on MIB, a system with no human involvement to govern us and keep us safe from birth till death. Without it, can we recreate a peaceful society? Alita's like, if not, you'll just die out. Marge's like, ouch, that's harsh. Alita goes, and there's something I'd add from my point of view. If you're going to construct a free nation without MIB control, you'll have to make peace with the surface. Life in Tefari's is built on the sacrifices of those on the surface. I want you to remember that. Marge's like, I hadn't thought of that. Like, thank you. And the other thing I'm afraid of is the master plan that made Tefari's this way. Someone, some mysterious architect, must have created this huge structure, this airtight system many centuries ago, right? Even after the chaos of the past week, that architect hasn't stepped in, but will it continue to leave us to our own devices? Alita goes, the architect, if it still exists, Space City Kateris, huh? And you see later Pam's walking back up to where she left Nola. As she goes, Nola, are you there? And she sees Nola kind of huddled over, sitting down on the ground with her knees drawn up. As she glares at her and goes, what do you want? Pam's like, thought you might be hungry. Here. And she tries to offer some food. And Nola just kind of smacks it out of her hand. And she gets up and goes and smacks on the wall and goes, you led us right there. How could you, Pam? We trusted you. And Pam's about to start crying. As Deckman's like, as he wakes up from sleep mode. And he's like, what's all this walk? What's all this talk? And you see Pam starting to cry. And Nola like, stop bawling and answer me. And you see Pam just kind of trying to wipe away her tears. She goes, but I just wanted to see my mom. And you see Nola still mad as she goes. As Pam goes, it's like Alita says, whether your brain's a chip or not, it's wrong to discriminate. Deckman's like, that's right. Number 100 is Human too. And you see Pam just kind of angrily bashing on Deckman going, don't confuse things, you. And she goes, help us make up with the grown-ups, Nola, please. The kids will listen to you. And you see Nola's had enough as she slaps Pam and sends her glasses flying and goes, you're not my friend anymore. We're through. You're a traitor, Pam, a traitor. And you see Nola running away. Oh, what the hell. And you see as she's approaching a corner, you see someone that looks like Jim looking around the side. And she goes, Jim! It's like, wait, Jim, wait! It's like, wait, come back! And you see her thinking back to poor girl. Your mother and father died, didn't they? And you see a scared Nola, kind of covered in tears and blood, shivering in a corner. As Jim and his men have found her, he goes, but you don't have to be sad. And he has, don't kill me, please! Ah! And you see they've got one of the adult prisoners behind him. And you see that Jim's men execute him. With ah! And he goes and picks out the little brain chips from the brain. Goes, you see? They were never human, so there's no need to mourn. As he hands Pam the brain chip. And you can see that Pam Nola, sorry, I'm confusing the names here. As he gives Nola the brain chip. You see that Nola's starting to lose it a little bit. She goes, Jim was right. There was nothing to be sad about. They're not humans, they're things. And she splish as she walks into around the corner and goes, Jim, where'd you go? Please don't leave me behind. And she sees what looks like an illusion of Alita standing at the top of the stairs. She goes, Alita. And she thinks back to Alita telling her, even if your brain's a chip, a human being is a human being. And she goes, things are fine for Pam. She found her mom. But my mom and dad are gone. So if what you're saying is true, where do I have to go home to? And she starts crying. She goes, tell me. And you see the illusion Alita just turning away and walking away. As Nola chases after and goes, tell me, I said, Alita. And she kind of collapses to her knees and goes, I don't want to be alone. I can't be as strong as you. And she kind of just collapses. And you see that where she's fell next to is Sachimoto's sitting with his back against a wall, knees drawn up, as he spots her. And you see as you see these doves taking off. And you see the next page, Sachimoto's just walking through the ruins of the city. And he goes, how strange the world looks through a giant's eyes. The solemn walls and columns that used to overwhelm, only now do I see them for what they are. Mere structures to mold and order the pliant lives within. When I was little, I spent a long time building a big tower out of blocks. I built it higher and higher, adding more and more blocks. Then, I knocked it down. In that moment, I felt liberated. The only greater feeling was upsetting someone else's tower of blocks. And now, just look. Block towers as far as I can see. Can I ever topple them all? And he goes, and what are these little things milling around my feet? Toys. And you see that he's got Nola and Jim's dead body cradled in one hand. He's looking down at the little MIB robots below him. And you see Pam's finally waking up. With the And then she's first thing she sees is Jim's dead body. She goes, no, Jim, dead! And she freaks out as she sees Quasimodo picking up one of the MIB robots with his other hand. And you see vroom vroom as he's playing with it like a little kid, and he's just smashing into structures. And it goes kablam as he slams it in the ground. It goes, ha 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 ha. And you can see Nola's just watching all this completely shocked. And she leaps off of the hand and onto a little nearby hanging drape. And just goes, ee! As it starts ripping and she falls. And she just managed to hold on with the ha. Quasimodo sees this and he has the little, oh my god. And he's using the little dead body of Jim like a little doll. He goes, where do you think you're going? Stay, play with me. And Nola's like, eek, stop, stop, stop. And she uses the little curtain to swing onto the ledge. And Quasimodo goes, Nola, it's not nice to run away. Nola's like, how does it know my name? And you have Quasimodo going, you're making me feel sad. As you see Nola, it's like Lady Nola, as she's running back towards Pam and 100. And she said, Pam, it's like number 100? And you see, play with me. Sakamoto comes running, crashing through, and destroys the platform Pam, or Nola's on. I don't know why I'm confusing these two so badly. As you know, they're going, eek! With the wood. As you get sent flying onto the other separated platform, and grabs onto the hold. It's like, oh, it's like Pam's like, help! And you see Deckman going, well, it's got to get out of here, Pam, one! And you see Pam's getting scared, but she goes over to the edge and reaches down to try to grab Nola. And Nola's like, we're not friends anymore, go on, just run away! And you see Pam just crying as her glasses fall off. And you have Sakamoto going, well, well, looky here. And he goes, see how things are? I died. But there's no need to grieve. Once you quit living, the world's just a giant tower of blocks. It's fun. And you have Nola looking back going, the way he talks. He couldn't be. Could he? And she thinks back to, you're working late, what are you up to? And you see Jim typing away at his computer as he goes, I've sent some data to the MIB factory that will create a monster. Once it's complete, I'll be able to kill all the adults. And Nola's like, monster? Sounds scary. And he's like, ha 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 ha. I intend to copy my own memories into its brain. Maybe I should copy yours too. This will be a kind and caring monster. You have Nola going, Jim, is that you? And you can see Pam and Deckman are both looking at her confusion as the Sakamoto Jim goes, I'm not human anymore. Jim got sad and died. But that's okay. Nothing hurts when you're a thing, Nola. And you see Nola looking up at Pam, straining to kind of reach her. As she goes, that's right. If I take Pam's hand, I'll have to live accepting that even with people with chips for brains are still human. And every day, every single day, I'll have to confront my own sins and weaknesses. She goes, no, no, no! I couldn't stand that. But there's still one way to change everything, even for someone like me. Death. And she looks back and goes, Jim. And at that moment, Pam reaches down, grabs her hand, and Deckman pulls her up, like, ugh! As he pulls her up onto the thing. And Pam just throws herself into her arms, goes, wow, Nola, Nola! Nola's like, Jim, I'm going to live after all. Weak as I am, sad as I'll be. It's like, farewell. I loved you, Jim. And Sakamoto bot is silent for a moment before he goes, I see. And he starts whipping around Jim again as he goes, you had not fallen into true despair yet. You were just so self-absorbed, you pretended to despair. But I'll teach you what real despair feels like. And you see him, his arm trying to reach in to grab them. They go, eek! And you hear, fish! As a giant piece of rebar gets sent flying into his face with a clong and a what? And he gets sent flying back. And Alita goes, if you want to play so much, play with me. Oh, I love her so much. We have phase 9, no more excuses. As Alita's walking forward, she just takes off her cloak, tosses it to Deckman. And Pam's like, Alita! And Deckman's like, Master Alita! And Alita looks at Nola, kind of grasps her, puts a hand on her shoulder, and she gives her a look. And Pam just smiles at her. As Alita runs down towards Sakamoto. And Pam's like, Nola, come on, let's go someplace safe. Nola's like, I'm staying. Pam's like, what? And she goes, Alita's gonna fight Jim. Breaks my heart. I want to run away, but I have to see this through no matter what. It's just what I have to do. You see Pam going, Nola? And as you see Alita jumping down, she's doing some acrobatic spins as she goes, "Catch me if you can!" And Sakamoto's like, "Yay!" as he gets up and chases after Alita. And you see Elephant's Wolf are watching this fight going down, "They're going at it! Looks like the fight's just getting started." And Zex goes, "If my solenoid quench gun was functional, I'd beat that monster in no time." And Dusty goes, "Alita's the only one who can stop him now." And Jeff's Wolf going, "Sachi's in such a playful mood, he's not even using the Morion Omnicle. Now's her chance to beat him." And Zex goes, "We've seen the old records of Alita fighting Den, and Sakamoto is far inferior to Den in every way. Speed, combat, skill, willpower, even handicapped by her lack of weapons. Alita can't possibly lose this battle." And you see as Alita's dodged around and landed on a piece of rock, you see Sakamoto's arm just coming flying towards her. And she grabs one of his fingers, nails it back, and with a shroom just kicks it to break it at the joint with a scrack. And you have Swolf going, "Ouch, that one's broken." And Elf's like, "Superb timing and what a perfect angle." And Zex is like, "Well, duh." And you see Alita kind of just jump, watching in surprise, as the other arm comes smashing down with the... as the arm comes smashing... Okay, no. So Alita's watching in surprise as the finger apparently just comes back down with the wud and slams down. And Zek's like, "It didn't do a thing?" And you see Alita flipping around the fingers again. As Sakamoto's like, "Haha, it's like blowing bubbles. You almost catch one, but it floats away." As you twitch, as Alita twirls around his arm and goes and smashes it, I assume near the elbow to try and break it. He goes, "Stop, it tickles." And she jumps up and slams her fist straight into his eyes. And he goes, "Ah!" And you see a boom. And you see as Alita jumps up and slams both palms down into the top of his head with a "Hurts a Heion." As he goes, "Whoosh," like doubled. And you see boom, boom, boom. And you see his eyes start swirling as she sends the vibrations in. But it's having no effect. He goes, "What? that thing, it tingles." And you see Wolf's reacting in surprise. She goes, "The Hurts a Heion crippled Zex just by grazing her body. And this one was double strength. And all he does is laugh?" And Zex is like, "What is he made of?" And Dusty goes, "You mustn't judge Sakamoto by the standards of mere scrapyard technology. The nanomaterials used to construct this thing utilize the Imagino cells as a reference point. Its strength is far superior to common metals. Unless she maximizes the Imagino's body's potential, Alita will be defeated." And you see a gwump as his Sakamoto's hand comes up and grabs Alita. He's like, "Gotcha!" And Elf is like, "That's not good." And Zex is like, "It must be part of her plan. Like when she let me cut her arm off." And you see the wind up and he throws as Sakamoto throws his hand back and sends Alita flying like a baseball, scratched through a statue. And she lands, she skipping like a rock and lands in the rubble right beneath where Dusty's watching the fight from. He's like, "Oh, she took that head on. Will her brain be okay?" And Dusty's like, "I think her brain can take it. Is that part of her plan?" And he goes, "Alita, can you hear me? Only the use of plasma can defeat Sakamoto." And she's like, ugh, she's trying to like pick herself up from the wreckage. And he goes, "However, the Imagino's body, unlike the Berserker body, isn't default equipped with a plasma-producing organ. You'll need to create the plasma torch yourself out of your will and imagination." And he's like, "Plasma?" And you see Sakamoto going, "Ah, Professor Nova, we meet again." Dusty goes, "Surely you've played Mr. Roscoe's corpse enough by now. Can I have it? I'll trade you Alita for it." Sakamoto's silent for a moment before he goes, "No way! You're planning to regenerate Jim with your damn karma theory. I'll disintegrate him on the molecular level so you can never make him suffer the torments of this world again." Excuse me. This was you. Excuse me. As Jim's body starts floating up and starts slowly breaking apart, Dusty's like, "What have you done? But Mr. Roscoe's memories are still in your biochip." He goes, "I'm done playing the impartial observer. I'm going to act on my own desires. Alita, get me Sakamoto's brain biochip." And Alita finally picks herself up and she goes, "Don't tell me what to do. The fight's between him and me. I'm not going to take orders from you." Dusty goes, very well, just fight however you like. But be careful if Sakamoto's hands emit a smoky substance. And you see Alita thinking, plasma, it's no use, I can't do it. And you see Sakamoto coming in with another fist as he goes, and it's a line driver, as he sends Alita flying. And she goes, it's been so long since I used plasma. I know I'm a better fighter than I was then, but I just don't have that razor sharp purity anymore. You see a scrack as she gets sent flying into one of the walls. She goes down to the surface. I tried to become like my Damascus blade. Good and evil, might and tenderness, opposing forces etched into me like the pattern on the blade. Did I neglect to sharpen that blade, let it grow dull? Or did I polish it too hard, grinding it down until it could no longer serve as a weapon? I see Sakamoto reaching out with his arm again as he sends another punch and sends Alita flying again. And you have, he's too strong, Alita's gonna die. And you have Sex going, that's not strength, he's just big and tough. And she's getting mad, Sex is getting mad as they go, Alita, what the hell are you doing? You're the most powerful warrior. And you see Alita's fingers twitching as she's getting up. She's like, the most power? And you see, get up, Yoko, come on. And you flash back to short-haired Erica apparently having to deal with Yoko. And she goes, no, I don't wanna fight anymore. And so baby Yoko just throwing a temper tantrum. She's lying on her stomach. And Erica's like, you're such a baby. We promised we'd be warriors together like Gelda. Besides, you can't survive if you don't learn how to fight. And Yoko's like, but I don't wanna. And Erica's like, listen, Yoko, if you don't want to die, there are only two ways to live without fighting. You can either be a slave, or you can become the most powerful warrior. It's like, do you want to be a slave? And he's like, no. It's like, does the most powerful warrior really not have to fight? And Erica's like, they say that if you're the most powerful warrior, the battle will be over before it begins. I don't get it either, but if Meister says it, it must be true. And Yoko gets up with it. Then I'll be the most powerful warrior. I'll be the best and I won't have to fight ever again. And you see Alita going, looks like I'm nowhere close to that goal. And you see Sakamoto drawing back his fist to punch her again. As she goes, these endless fights, one after another, are proof of that. Why do I do it? Because I'm alive. Then why am I still alive? Why do I keep putting up with this? She goes, separated from those dearest to me at the mercy of fate. She's flashing back to everyone she's met on her journey till now. Sakamoto goes, I'm bored. I'll go play with something else. But first I'll disintegrate her so Professor Nova won't be able to recycle her. And you see, as he's trying to reach down to her, you see a slash. And you see a flash of light. And Sakamoto's looking down in confusion. As you see that his thumb has been cut off here. And just dangling by a little bit. Has been shorn off with some energy. And you see Alita staggering to get up. And she goes, that's right. What do I owe to anyone else? Oh boy, I love this moment so much. You see all her fingers have made these like tiny plasma claws come out of them. As you see her going, let other people find their own excuses. As for me, I don't need a reason to live. And you see Alquan, she's using plasma. And Zech's like, whew, starting to worry. Dusty's like, I believe that by putting herself in danger, Alita awakened her survival instincts. Her old berserker body went into plasma-equipped combat mode when a switch in the basal ganglia was flipped. The Imagino's body is different, but I think a powerful mind image was stimulated by going through the same process, enabling the Imagino's transformation. And Zech's like, see, it was a plan. Alita would never get pummeled for nothing. And you have Sakamoto going, it's so pretty. Must be the flame of Alita's soul. He goes, let me answer with my haze of emptiness. And he puts both arms forward and starts gushing out the smoke. And you see Alita putting up her plasma fingers to counteract it with a zish. And you see them coming together with a combined explosion. And you see, grah! And Zek's like, what the hell? And Destiny's like, the moron, Almacol is susceptible to heat. It's like tossing down feathers onto a fire. Turn to plasma in an instant. And you foomed. I see a backdraft is hitting Sakamoto. As Destiny goes, Sakamoto can manipulate magnetic force as well. And you see Fweem. As the backdraft starting to get this orb around it to start containing it. And he's like, ha ha ha, new game, oh boy. This is like, this is not good. Sakamoto is using a cyclotron resonance to heat the plasma trapped in their magnetic fields. Based on the flame's color, I'd say it's over 100,000 degrees Celsius already. That's fatal to both of them. And you see cyclotron resonance, plasma in a magnetic field is heated through the resonance effect when the vibration frequency of an oscillating electromagnetic field matches the gyro frequency of the charged particles in the plasma. This effect is known as ion cyclotron resonance heating and enables the generation of superheated plasma over 100 degrees Celsius in temperature. And you whoosh, it's like, it's a plasma cupola. And you see basically a giant plasma cloud suspended in the air between them. As he goes, if the competing magnetic fields lose their balance even slightly, the weaker one will be showered with superheated plasma. Now that they're locked in position with the plasma in between them, Alita's at an overwhelming disadvantage. I can't think of any way for her to escape. And you see Alita just grinning at this new challenge. As I'm not going to go over the Tefari's morphology, extra little bits in there. I'll probably go over that in my own time. As we get into Phase 10, a song from long ago. And you see both of them just still pushing on it as the magnetic field is in flux. And Sakamoto's like, careful, if you don't hold on tight, you're going to eat fireball. And you see a scratch as Alita's been driving into the ground with the force for just trying to maintain this. As Destiny goes, he's 10 times more powerful than Alita. And once this becomes a power game, Alita hasn't a chance. And Swolf is like, you seem quite elated, Professor. He's like, oh. I was like, well, I am feeling rather ambivalent at the moment. And you see Alita just straining as she's trying to hold this. He goes, I'm saddened that my masterpiece, the Imaginos body, and Alita, the Karma Warrior, will be defeated. Yet I'm overjoyed that my acknowledged successor, Mr. Roscoe, will have his great talents proven at last. And you have Zex going, wait, Alita's still got a trick up her sleeve. And you see, wham! There's an explosion behind Alita. And you see her just kind of stepping in and just pushing back with a zap zap salt and a boom. As you see, like, electromagnetic, the pulse is just like pulsing from her fingers. And you have Sakamoto going, what? What's this? And you see, as it's starting to go, the backdraft starting to reach him, you see his fingers starting to explode with a whoosh. And you see he's getting slammed by the secreted plasma, and he's starting to melt. And you have Sachi's covered with plasma. It's like, what was that? What did she just do? It was, of course, the stroke of genius. Wave motion such as ion acoustic waves and magnetic acoustic waves may arise in plasma. It's a well-known phenomenon that they often become a high-amplitude wave called a soliton. Alita used the plasma as a medium to fire a Hertzion made of a plasma wave soliton. You have soliton as an isolated wave, a pulse wave that spreads without losing energy and maintains its shape even after colliding. A tsunami is a type of soliton. And it goes, normally cyclotron attenuation would occur and the wave energy would be lost. But under some conditions, the resonance amplifies the wave energy. In other words, she took Sakamoto's magnetic power, converted it to wave energy, and struck him with it. I should call it the plasma soliton. And he goes, Alita's truly a mighty warrior. Alita's intellectual understanding of plasma physics is dubious at best, but her experience manipulating plasma gave her an intuitive understanding. And Zex goes, you can't tell which of her actions are calculated and which are instinctual. That's what makes her such a terrifying warrior. As you see Alita going, yeah! She launches herself up and just starts laying into Sachimoto's head and just starts tearing it apart with her plasma claws. And you see a script as Sachimoto grabs both of his hands up and kind of just so Sachimoto brings both of his hands up and starts grabbing Alita like this. And he starts standing and goes, that hurt me! And Destiny's like, he cast off the damaged outer husk and reconstructed his body, but... And you see Alita with a fish and a gah! And she just uses her claws to force his hand away and just shred it. And then she leaps in and cuts it off at the shoulder. And then she reaches into his chest and starts laying into him again. And the elf is like, scary, like a wild beast. He's like, I thought she was cool-headed technical fighter. And Zex goes, it's not technique. Her only thought now is to attack until she kills. This feral fighting spirit is her true nature, the root of Alita's strength. Oh, boy. And you see another mini robot that looks a lot like Teagle popping out from Sakamoto going, Mommy, Mommy! And you see Alita just laying into it again. As X goes, you better give up on the monster's brain biochip, Professor. Nobody could stop her now. Desi's like, poor Mr. Roscoe. He's like, why the long face? Desi's like, it's not like you. Come on, laugh like you always do. Give us a good kya ha ha. And you see Desi trying to do a half-hearted kya 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 ha 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 ha. And you see a wah. Has an even smaller robot. Or it's like a little mini nesting doll. You see smaller and smaller robots breaking out of Sakamoto as Alita keeps attacking. You see a scratch as the last one finally breaks open and she sees something inside with a plop. And you see Nola and Pam just watching this as Nola's kind of resting her head against the glass and crying, Jim. And you see Des going, yeah, ha 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 ha. And Alita looks down at a very wormy looking pupa robot. That's all that's left of Sakamoto. As he has, I can't remember anything. So sleepy. It's like, and I can hear something. It's a song. A song from long ago. I hear a song. Maybe now I can go back to it. And you see 1 week later, as you see apparently things are back to normal and the adults have reunited with the children. As Marge is going, is your body all fixed now, Alita? She's like, sure is. But was this really the right thing to do? And you see the creator like a weird ass obelisk with the baby Sakamoto kind of encased in a crystal. And Alita goes, it's not like Sakamoto's dead, you know. If he wakes up, goes berserk again. He's like, no, it's okay. We talked this over and everyone agreed. And Nola's like, it's a monument to our reconciliation and a reminder of our foolishness and our sin. We must not ever forget what has happened in these last 2 weeks. Jim was us. He felt despair in our stead and protested our fate. We will never forget Jim Roscoe. And Nola goes, thank you, Alita. I'm here now because of you two. And Alita's like, I didn't do anything. And she looks up and goes, there are many mysteries in being alive. And everyone's kind of just looking at her in surprise as she goes, and from birth, everyone carries those mysteries deep inside. Some never notice the mysteries, while some confront them head on, and die confused, still carrying them. To those who seek answers, these mysteries are a curse. But to those who take action, they are a blessing. For no matter how much power or influence someone has, these mysteries cannot be conquered. Oh, I love that. Phase 11, even so. You see Alita sitting next to her bike as you have, good morning, Alita. And you have, time for breakfast, Alita. And she's imagining back to Lou. I think she's having a dream back when she was on the surface. And she wakes up groggy going, good morning, Lou. And you see Pam, surprise face, who looks a lot like Lou going, huh? And Alita's like, what the? Oh, Pam, it's you. And Pam's like, you're still half asleep. And Alita's like, oh, right, I'm in Tefares, the MIB core. Where's Marge? Pam's like, Mom and the others are in the back. And you see them walking up to one of the towers in the MIB area. As Alita goes, did you find out anything about Lou? Marge's like, I'm not afraid not, Alita. And you have Pam asking, what's Lou like? Alita's like, it's like a lot like you. Pam's like, what, for real? And Alita's like, kind of slowing it out. Pam's like, ah. And she slumps down, runs away crying, it's like Alita's being mean to me. And you have Alita going, peas in a pod. And you have Marge going, you say Pam looks like Lou? I was like, then they might have DNA from the same genetic stock. It's like, I see that a lot. And Alita's like, the same stock? You mean this place is full of strangers who might be close relatives? And you have factory systems are 53% online. Resource import has been secured. And Alita's like, wouldn't that create a risk of incest? And you see one of the other adults going, our ability to reproduce is removed at birth. We can still have sex normally though. I feel so sorry for these girls. Most of the boys were killed in the recent chaos. And you have Nola just getting all embarrassed going, Mrs. Mayhan. Marge goes, I believe that we should at least return the right of natural childbirth to our new generation about to be born, but it's not fair that only girls can do it. And you have Nola going, why not let the boys get pregnant too? And Marge goes, natural propagation might lead to a population explosion. Oh, sorry, it's the other adult guy says that. Marge's like, that's a tough one. What do you think, Alita? Alita's just like, She's looking at the DNA organ. She's like, I want to play just once. And they're holding back like, no! It's like, it's a biohazard. Something weird might come out. And you see Deckman going, Master Alita, I have a message from Professor Nova. And you have Alita going, he's found Lou? And you see MIB Core Disposal Division. Alita's walking through going, what a gloomy place this is. And you see, oh, it's Alita. Hey, over here. As Elephant's Wolf are waving to her. And she's like, don't act all chummy. And they're like, Zex's body was repaired, look. And you have, it was not. And they're like, Zex? And you see Zex and Wolf just making a face. Oh boy. And you see that Zex has been put into one of the little chibi models. Zex is like, you got a problem? Alita's turning away, trying not to laugh. And she's like, hey, you better not be laughing at me. And Alita's like, is it an interactive interface? Where'd you find it? It's like, in the trash. We just snapped in Zex's brain chip. Alita's like, I was in that body once. It's good training for fighting giants like Dead. Zex is like, what? Really? And Zex starts trying to flip around and fight. He's like, but it's so top heavy. And Alita's like, pretty gullible. She's like, where's Lou? Ooh. And you see, what the hell is this? So you see Lou's body stuck into a meat cube of other people. As Dusty's pulling it up, and she's like, Lou. And he's like, I wasn't looking for your friend, mind you, but I came across this as I was examining the brain biochip production line. And that frozen meat's an empty shell, by the way. Her brain biochip wasn't left inside. And Lou's like, oh no. And Dusty goes, the MIB takes a eugenics view of crime dividing into 3 categories, each of which is treated differently. Genetically predisposed criminals are cast out, simple criminals are rehabilitated, and ideological criminals are studied before they're disposed of here. Even without a genetic predisposition toward crime, some harbor ideologies that would lead to the overthrow of a managed society. These people have their brain chip removed, dismantled, and analyzed, so as to discover the thought process that led to the ideological crime. Usually the body is broken down and the DNA recycled, but as you can see, for some reason the system stalled at the freezing stage, most likely due to my hacking into the MIB. And Alita goes, Nova, please, bring Lou back to life. You can do it, can't you? And Nova just takes in a bit of his flan as he grins and goes, so good. He goes, how would it benefit me to revive your friend? Alita goes, if you bring her back to life, I'll do anything you say. And the Dusty goes, oh my, in that case, please kill all the Teferian survivors. And you can see Alita's taken aback by this, and she's kind of just gritting herself. She closes her eyes, and as she opens them, she has this cold, expressionless face. And she goes, do you vow to bring back Lou? And you have Swolf going, she'll do it? And Elf's like, a true pal. And Zex is like, this'll be fun. Deckman's like, Master Alita. And you see Dusty just grinning as he goes, ha, just kidding. There would be sadistic pleasure in watching you run amok, but for research purposes, I don't want to limit your free will. As long as Lou's biochip is gone, it is impossible to revive her, even with Karmatronics. Alita's like, impossible, but her body, it's right there. Why can't you bring her back? And Dusty's like, now you're being irrational. What would you have me do? Make a clone of her? That would be without sense or meaning. A clone would be genetically identical, but wouldn't have Lou's memories, her personality. She'd be a totally different person who just looks like Lou. How do you define human? Physical characteristics? Genetic data? I wonder. If it is possible for a body or brain to be replaced by a machine, then what makes a human human is the information in her personality and memories. Once that data has dissipated, It's proper to define that as death. And you see Alita just kind of crying. And she falls to her knees and she's like, death? And you see later that she's out in the ruins, just grieving, lose death. And she's crying, going, a warrior, ha! Strongest on earth, ha! I haven't changed one bit from the day I lost Hugo. I'm still powerless. In a moment of desperation, I was about to make a devil's pact with Nova. How can I ever face Nola and the others? The lowest of the low. And you see Deckman coming up with, Master, I have a message from Professor Nova. And you see him displaying a message as Nova goes, we depart for Cytheris tomorrow via the orbital elevator. Alita. She goes, go to hell. He's like, now, don't be like that. There may be one last option. The initiation that all Teferians undergo at age 19. Where do you think the living brains that are extracted at that time go? Alita's looking at him surprised as he goes, this past year I've done all the research I can into Tefari's and Cytheris, and what I learned is rather extraordinary. The brains removed during the grand initiation ritual are promptly whisked away, still alive, to Cytheris on the orbital elevator. There they're joined together in a matrix made up of many brains, and I have no doubt that this matrix forms part of the central electronic brain known as Malachi. It's likely that Malachi is not a single computer, but instead a giant network. He goes, why rely on such an inefficient system of live brains when they possess brain biochip technology? There are many questions even I can't answer. Well, he's like, you mean Lou's brain is still alive in Cytheris? And he goes, it is possible, just possible. But even if we can recover her brain, there's a danger that her ego has disintegrated. And even if it is intact, she'll be the Lou she was at 19. She'll know nothing of what happened in the GIB, nothing about you. Alita's like, even so. And you see Shao. She's standing outside on Teferi's on one of the little pointy platforms outside. As she's thinking, I'm sorry, Figure. I'm going on a journey for a while. And she, not missing a page. And she folds up a paper airplane. And she goes, Chaos, one day, the time will come when Tefari's will need your strength. It's in your hands, for I am going to space. As we get to chapter 12, and I will probably cut it off here before we get into the next arc, because it's coming up almost on an hour on the video. So, again, I'm not going to do like a huge major review until I finish the volume. I have time to process thoughts and all that, so I can do a decent one. That said, I am continually being blown away by how much better Last Order is than the original series. Not to say that the original series was, badly written or was bad storytelling or any of that, but Last Order definitely feels a lot tighter in focus and direction and storytelling than Battle Angel League, the original series, did. So I'm really, really loving a lot of that so far. It's got a good pace, a really good pacing. I love all the new characters that were introduced so far. I'm really loving all the philosophical questions about human nature and what it means to be human and all that that the series is bringing up and questioning. So I'm really looking forward to diving into more of that. So like I said in my channel update video, I'm going to do my best to try to keep the momentum of this going and release at least a video a day next week. It's going to be my goal and my aim. So we'll see how successful I am with that. So I'll probably do alternating. So I'll do a Vinland Saga one day and then Alita one day. And once I start Lazarus this week, I'll probably do Lazarus one day. So you can expect at least 2 videos for each series to come out every week. And so hopefully that'll make up a good clip and a pace for me to catch up with these series pretty quickly so I can move on to other things. So hopefully you all will be looking forward to that. I'm really, really loving Battle Angel Alita Last Order. And until next time, this is Hash. I will talk to you all later.